Hello, y'all. I hope you guys are fine. So sorry this video is coming late. I saw an old woman carrying something, so I had to stop and help. You see, I really appreciate you guys. Like, I really appreciate you guys because the engagement and everything I've been receiving on this channel, it's really good. I love you guys. I don't know what I'll do without you guys. As I always say, we are a pretty small gang. So yeah, I'm back with another video, Bedtime Stories 2. Life of an Anatomy Student, or rather, Life of an Anatomist, where the dead teach the living. The first episode was Bedtime Story 1, when I talked about my suspension and everything. And y'all really love stories, like, y'all really love stories, y'all love stories, and the engagement was nice. And on that video, what amazed me was how you guys realized the fact that a lot went on behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, I underestimated how much a lot went on. It's so crazy how we could both see that together. And, thank God that we've come this far. So, yeah, thank you all once again. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe and turn on your notifications so you'll be notified whenever I make a video. And also, please like this video so that the algorithm could push it to amazing people like yourselves, okay? Thank you. So yes, I studied human anatomy in university, and what I find crazy about this is that most people really don't get the concept of the course. Yes, it's a branch of medicine. Medicine has three branches: anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry, alongside microbiology and some others. Anatomy is like the main branch of medicine, and as you know, the common stereotype is that we deal with dead bodies a lot, and yeah, that's true. You see, life in the university as a student of anatomy was pretty much hectic, especially because the system is designed in a way that you read to pass the exams. Instead of reading to know these things, I would have elaborated on that, but I already did that in Bedtime Stories 1. So yeah, you could go watch that. If you watch that, then you understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, when you have that as a key factor in the faculty, it's pretty much hectic. So, anatomy is in the faculty of BMS, which is basic medical science. You have anatomy, you have physiology, you have medicine. Biochemistry is not in BMS. Is in more of science and tech. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you all something. I hated medical science in uni. Now, don't see me saying this from a point of jealousy or anything, because heaven knows they don't have anything I want. What I really didn't like about them was the fact that they looked down on people in other departments. Like, for example, people in anatomy and physiology, which didn't even make sense to me, like, which wasn't nice to me at all. Now, do you know the head busting thing? I didn't have issues with the smart ones. That's the ones that got into medicine in a very high grade. I didn't have problem with those ones. But you see those ones that barely got into medicine, you see those ones that just, barely scaled the fence. Now, those guys I had a beef with, because I'm like, the way they walked around like gods, I'm like, bro, better come off your high horse, because we both know not every doctor has a future. And you know the funny thing about this whole thing? Nobody did anything to me. Like, nobody did anything to me. It's just people around me that were really victims of these things. And still, I remember then I was anticipating, like, I was patiently waiting for the day someone will come and tell me nonsense or anything. Like, when you don't want trouble, but if the trouble comes, then no trouble. Like, I didn't go around looking for trouble, but you see, on that particular matter, I was patiently waiting for someone to come and tell me nonsense. Like, that's how much I really despise them. In 200 level anyway, as we got deeper in the department, we really got to understand each other. And yeah, they behaved themselves, I behaved myself, and it was, happily ever after from then. Now, I'm just going to give you all a scenario here so that you could see how these med students have got most of the time. It was in 400 level. We have our own museum lab for we anatomy students. It's for us, basically. There was a time we were all reading at night. I think it was me and two other girls, the vice president of my department, and a friend. So I stepped out because I forgot what I went out to do, but like, I just left the place. I stayed out for like 30 minutes, and when I came back, they were complaining to me that a medical student came to meet them, telling them that he has been looking for the key to the place, that he is the one that deserves to be with the key to the place. And I'm like,
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
What the hell is happening exactly? These things never happen when I am around, and I heard that this is the second time this thing is happening. Like these things never happen when I'm around. I've been praying to God. I'm like, God, please just give me one opportunity. Just give me one scapegoat. Just give me one stupid person so that I could use this person to shine. Like that was my prayer point. But it just so turned out that anytime these guys were being stupid, I was never there. But anyway, when that happened, I was just fed up and I confirmed from them if that was the truth. And they said yes, after all, they had no reason to lie. The next day, I went to meet that guy. I wasn't just having it at all. Like, you just can't come and harass the girls in my department just because you think you can. Like, I wasn't just having it at all. Because if there was a guy in the lab that time, I'm not sure he would have tried this nonsense. If I was there, I wouldn't have let that thing slide at all. And even if I wasn't there, I wasn't willing to let it slide. Don't get me wrong, I won't have exchanged blows with anyone, but like, there are ways we go about this thing. I approached this guy and his whole mood changed. And he was like, oh, no, 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 no. I never told him anything like that. I never told him anything like that. So that you should know me. I'll never come and want to bully you guys, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the hell is like, where's this switch coming from? I asked the girls one more time to confirm. They confirmed what they told me was true. And I'm like, yo, I've met this guy. He told me another story entirely. You guys are telling me another story entirely. I'm not saying you guys are lying, even if he's lying, as long as he didn't have the guts to admit anything to me, then let's just let it slide. But assuming he kept on pushing it, assuming he said the rubbish still, of course, then we would have taken it to the next step. But since he didn't say anything, then that's fine. So that's just how that matter died. Well, to be fair though, to be fair, some of them had sense. So don't just start thinking I had beef with all of them. When I say we have beef with them, it's not like an official anatomy versus medicine beef or physiology versus medicine beef. It's just this kind of, should I say, unspoken beef or rather unofficial beef that is not yet set in stone that we must beef. As I said, as we went further, we understood each other and we could cooperate. So how it is when studying anatomy is that you start studying anatomy proper from 200 level. In the first year, it's like a revision for secondary school. You'll still be doing your chemistry, biology, physics, shit like that. But 200 level, that's where it starts. So 200 level, first semester, you're going to do the gross anatomy of the upper limb and lower limb. 200 level, second semester, you're going to do the gross anatomy of the thorax and abdomen. 300 level, first semester, you're going to do the gross anatomy of the head and the neck. And then in 300 level, second semester, you go for internship. Then 400 level, you come back, do your project, and pass out. Oh, of course, like that's not all you do. As an anatomy student, you also learn physiology and you also learn biochemistry. I mean, it's a 400 level that is strictly do anatomy, but 300 level and 200 level, you do anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. So that's why an anatomist knows a lot about physiology and the physiology knows a lot about anatomy. When I say head and neck, you won't just learn about it, you also learn about it histologically. So histological is just basically what you see in microscope, on a cellular level. So that's histological. I hated histology. And of course, for every school you go, there's something called an exam. You must write exams, like you will write exams. And a very interesting type of exam, which a lot of people would know, except people in the medical field, is a type of exam called steeplechase. Like, it's a chase basically. The moment you get into the hall or wherever, you're controlled by a bell. You have to move around. Like, you just have to move around. When the bell goes, you have to move. When the bell goes, you have to move. And someone is at your back telling you to move. Now, as you can see, that's just basically how it is. Like, you have limited time to focus on what's right in front of you. You have to do it for histology and you also have to do it for gross anatomy. In the histology aspect, you might see a microscope, they'll tell you to view it and they'll tell you to identify the cell that you can see. And they'll ask you what organ is that. Different organs have different types of cell lining and epithelium. So you should be able to know that as someone in the medical field. And of course, the gross anatomy, they may put a bone and they'll tell you to identify the bone. They'll tell you to talk about the bone, the skeletal muscles attached to the bone, the nerves around the bone, things like that. Now let's go into the juicy part of this video. Let me tell you all my experience seeing a dead body the first time. The cadaver lab, that's where we keep dead bodies, was the first time I ever saw a dead body. In my life, I had never seen a dead body. Some others had the experience of seeing dead bodies from afar. I had never, like never at all. It was in 200 level first semester, but when we do the gross anatomy of the upper limb and the lower limb. So basically, whatever you are doing the gross anatomy of, you go dissect it in the cadaver lab so you see whatever you are reading about, in the practical sense, not just abstract or theory. So we being new in the faculty, 200 level, we were given fresh cadavers to work with. They all still had their veil, and when it was time for us to work, they unveiled it. And when I saw the dead body, there was this shock that just came to me. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't scared or anything, but the shock, if I dare say, was kind of a feeling of the spirit of that person still being there with us. That was genuinely how I felt. Although I was so quick to write it off because I just didn't want to overthink it. I was like, okay, maybe it's just a usual shock because I've never seen a dead body before. But I discovered time and time again that I don't always have that feeling, that there are some particular dead bodies that I see, touch, or walk with, that I get that particular feeling. I just get the feeling that, yeah, okay, this person's spirit is still active, that the grass slab was so big and all of us could fit in. I think it was 12 or 10 dead bodies, and then we are all separated in groups. It just so turns out that for my group, I was the one dissecting, me and one other person. Then we had an assistant just in case any of us couldn't make it, then that person could cover up for us. But yeah, me and one other guy were the main people. Okay, it was the main person. I was assisting him. Then we had another person assisting both of us. Yeah, simply put. So, do you think you've seen pressure? Like, just imagine the kind of pressure I was, me dissecting or walking on the body of someone that it was like I could sense his spirit. That's a lot of pressure. Like, believe me, I don't care what you say. No, that was a lot of pressure. That was a lot of pressure. I don't care what you, so you guys should better give people in the medical field their flowers. Especially we anatomists, the medical students have their flowers, obviously. But you see, we anatomists and physiologists better give us our flowers because it's not easy. Things we go through for you guys. I always dissected him and it went pretty much fine. Everything was going all good. So back then, the fact that I could sense his spirit didn't really much matter to me anymore. It didn't matter to me anymore because I was like, okay, yeah, bro, I have to study. I have to study. This is my, like, this is what I'm in school to do, okay? There was a time something strange happened. You see, I don't know what messed with my mood that day, but oh yeah, I think I remember. We weren't supposed to come to the grass lab that day, but for some reasons, we're all told to go back to the grass lab to dissect bodies and learn. And then we're all tired because we've had a very hectic day, and we needed to go eat or rest or do our thing. I remember I was doing it out of annoyance. I was dissecting out of annoyance, and then my hands just started shaking. I don't know why. Hands have never shook before, but my hands just started shaking. I couldn't dissect this man at all. Like, it's like I really don't know how to explain it. I don't want to read too deep into it. I don't want to say it's spirit. Like, I really don't know what was going on that day. Since then, couldn't work on that man anymore. Hands would just start shaking. Didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know what was happening to the man. I didn't know if it was a spirit fighting me or anything. As I say, I don't want to overthink this thing, but I guess it's just what it is because this thing called anatomy, when working with dead people, nothing is impossible. Like, believe me, nothing is impossible. You hear tales of people working in mortuaries telling you that in the night they hear things where these dead bodies are kept. Trust me, don't easily write off those things you hear because you'll be surprised how many of them are true. But then I discovered that anytime I go to my friend's group just to, join him and see how his group is and their cadaver is, anytime I try to just assist them, I dissect just fine. But when it came to my particular group, like my particular cadaver, my hands just started to shake. So I just left that man alone and I just observed while another person dissected. I couldn't talk to anyone about it because I didn't even know how to start talking about it. But a year after, when I was doing my internship, when I was working in the morgue, I just told someone about it and or rather I told them about it and they knew what was happening. Like, they just knew what was happening and they smiled and they were like, and they just looked at me and they were like, you know what is happening, don't you? I was like, okay. And they were like, I was like, okay. They smiled and they just left. So apparently they weren't surprised. So just an advice for you guys in the medical field: nothing is impossible, and understand that the spirits are actually more active than you think. There was a time we're going to this particular morgue. Now, this was actually during my internship. We weren't supposed to go there, but my boss actually begged me that we should both go together. And it's not every time your boss begs you to do something. And I really respected him. And I was like, okay, sure, no problem. Let's just go. Now, this morgue was like a local morgue. It was so low quality, low standards. The dead bodies were literally on the floor, and it was kept in this big open space. And the dead bodies on the floor, like I was seeing dead bodies like flies. The bodies in that room was easily more than 100. This one isn't even me exaggerating. If anything, that's watered down. That number is watered down easily more than 100. They've been there for some time, like a week or so. Now, these bodies were smelling. Like, I've inhaled disgusting, odors from dead bodies, but believe me, this was on another level. And then I remember when I was walking through the dead bodies, because we were looking for a particular person. My boss didn't like it was this kind of thing whereby it gave me this vibe of, so that don't ask questions. We are going to go somewhere, like just don't ask questions. You understand? So I didn't really ask who in particular we were looking for, but all I know is we're looking for a particular person. And then I remember when I was walking through through the dead bodies, when I was walking through because they were scattered on the floor. All what was going on in my mind was, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Like, that thing was going on through my head. I was just saying, even if I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Psalm 23 verse 4 or something. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Like, it was like a mantra. That's the only thing that was coming to my head. Yeah, I finally found who we were looking for. My boss identified the body and then left. If I'm being honest with you, I think it's actually related to my boss, but just maybe didn't want to talk about it. If you ask me, I'll tell you that you can never be too experienced to see anything that will shock you, or to see anything that will send chills down your spine in the medical field. Now, let me tell you a little bit of my work experience. I've really had fun. I've had lots of fun. Now, 300 level second semester is when you go for your internship for 6 months. So that time is purely work experience, no school at all. You go work. And then I did mine in the National Hospital. It was so fun that, just for context, let me show you how fun it was. Let's say if I'm in the hospital now, I can't wait to come to work the following. Have you ever seen that kind of madness before? That's how it was for me, courtesy of the friendly doctors, the nice staff around us, and of course, we the students, or rather, we the interns, and of course, we had some corpers that were doing their service with us. It was just fun. And yeah, everyone loved that department. Everyone loved everything about it. First of all, I started in the mortuary, or in the morgue. Now, over there, we make the museum pots. We do embalming. You do the embalming yourself. Of course, they'll teach you how to do it, but like, you do it yourself. As for autopsies, like, you assist the doctors in autopsies. You don't do it yourself, because of course we are not that experienced. I assisted in lots of autopsies, like six autopsies. Now, let me tell you a bit about autopsies. Now, and this is why I say you need to appreciate people in the medical field. You may hear autopsy and be like, oh yeah, autopsy is about to find out the cause of death and everything. Like, you feel it's fancy, but believe me when I tell you this, autopsies are one of the most disgusting things you could ever come across in the medical field. Just take it from me. It's one of the most, like, and it's just so crazy because my first autopsy that I assisted in was enough to scar me for life. We worked on this man, and apparently he was crushed by a trailer, and the trailer crushed his head so bad that his brain was coming out of his nose, ears, and mouth. I know that you are trying to imagine it, but just don't bother, because nothing will prepare you for that. And another one, we did an autopsy on a woman. Now, this one is very emotional because she had cryptic pregnancy. And from the looks of things, she didn't know that she was pregnant, and her family members didn't also know that she was pregnant. That was quite shocking because two lives lost, the mother and the child. The child that she didn't even know she had. Look, like, this life is, I don't know, like, you guys should just take care of yourselves while you can, okay? And try to enjoy life. The other part I worked is the secretariat. Now, nothing much happens in the secretariat. Oh, no, 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 no. Funny enough, the secretariat is another funny place because people just come and choose violence. Some will just come, where's my result? Where's my result? If I don't get my result today, all hell is gonna break loose. They don't even give us a chance to talk and everything. So basically that's what we do in secretariat. We prepare their results, we give it out. But if the result is not ready, then it's not ready. There's nothing we can do in the secretariat. But still they weren't having it at all. And of course you won't blame them. But it was just funny. Because bro, chill, like chill. That's how one threatened us that the result is coming to get is for a politician. And if we don't hurry up, we are gonna sleep in jail. Like we're like nigga. We're like seriously, like like how did we get this far? How did we get to you threatening us? We didn't even take that like a guy serious. But it was actually true. Not just a politician. The guy was, I think, a one-star general in the army. But still, like, you just can't, like, you can't come and beat me. I'm just doing my job. What are you going to do about it? Although it was true, it was out of our hands. There was nothing that we could do. So you see, yeah, some people would just come and be traumatic. But let's talk about project a bit. Now, or rather, project, thesis, whatever you want to call it. You have two options. You either do field work or you either do a lab work. The difference is that field work, you won't really spend as much, but it could be quite hard to defend, according to what I've heard. But lab work, on the other hand, you spend a lot. Like you spend a lot for your rats, your chemicals, and whatever you want to do. It's not as hard though. I would say it's as hard because once you did it yourself, once you sacrifice your rats yourself, once you carried out the experiment yourself, yeah, that's basically your answer. In my experience, I would say field work is harder, but it's less stressful. But like with lab work, you spend more and yeah, it's easy in the end of the day, and it's easier to defend. I just put it that way. My group, we're filled with unserious people. Now, I'm sorry to say, if you guys are watching this, I'm sorry to say, I love you guys, but God, you guys stressed boy. Like you guys stressed me. It was like I was the only serious person there. Most of the time, they just allowed me to do all the work. Of course, I always have my ways of getting people back. So let's say if we're to donate 1,000 for something, if we're to donate 1,000 naira, I might as well tell them 5,000 and they'll pay it. I'm not saying this is what I did. If you're watching this, if you are my group watching this, I'm not saying this is what I did, but yeah, will you blame me? You're stressed, boy. You guys had to pay up. You guys had to pay up. So yeah, let's say I allegedly did that. You won't blame me. Like you won't blame me at all. So the project was to be histological assessment of nutmeg on the various organs. Mine was lungs. But still I brought about the suggestion. I said instead of nutmeg, why don't we use weed? Now, this was quite interesting because weed, of course, is illegal in Nigeria. So we'll need to go through a process of getting the weed. Like we have to write a letter to the drug law enforcement agency. We have to get it approved and everything. Luckily for us, someone in our group, his aunt works with them. That made life easier for us. And God helping us, our supervisor then also liked the idea. After much stress, traveling and all, it was finally approved and then we could use weed. My project topic, or rather my thesis topic, was histological assessment of cannabis sativa on the lungs of neonatal male Wilster rats. That was mine. And of course, it had adverse effects. So you guys should better stop smoking because I really don't know what you guys are doing. I'm not judging though. I'm not judging, but that shit is having effects on your lungs. I did the research. I did it myself. So you guys should better stop smoking anyway. So let's talk about the myths surrounding anatomists. That's the various myths that you guys hear and everything. I'm going to tell you if it's true or not. So number one, anatomists kill the people themselves in order to work on them. So here's the thing. I've heard this as a joke, but of course you don't know it's taking it serious. So here's the thing. The bodies you see in the cadaver lab or the bodies that we work with are actually unclaimed victims. That's people that have been dead, that have been unclaimed by family or friends or whatever, people that have not been claimed. So yeah, those are the kind of people that we use. And of course, some people donate their body for science when they die. So yeah, it's in their will that their body be used for science and research. We don't kill anyone. Number two, anatomists are vegetarians. Well, I can understand how you may want to think like this, but no. So basically, when you're tearing the flesh looks like meat. The flesh is muscles, and of course, you should know that the muscles that you, or rather, the meat that you eat, the steak, chicken, and everything, are actually skeletal muscles. And most of the time, if I should cut a human being, like if I should dissect a human being right now and show you the flesh, if I should show you the muscles, you would guess that it's meat. If I should put it side by side meat, of course, okay, maybe you'll be able to tell the difference, but like it looks much alike. So yeah, when you see these things a lot, it makes meat disgusting for you. For some people anyway, because I've seen some people that walk with dead bodies that don't eat meat because of that. I've seen some that couldn't eat meat for some time, but later on went back to eating meat. So yeah, that's fine. And that's the reason. But still, don't just assume that every anatomist is a vegetarian because I've hardly seen, I think I've just seen like five or so that don't eat meat anymore. Number three, anatomists are numb to death. Oh well, it's not like we are numb to death. Like how I'll explain it is that we just have another perspective of life. People come and people go. That's it. If you're in the medical field, if you've been active in the medical field, you'll be able to get this concept gradually. So it's not like we are numb to death. Although I've seen some people that are just purely heartless. For example, when I was doing my internship, the morgue that when I was in the morgue, there was this particular guy. This guy was heartless as hell. Anytime family members of people of the victims come to drop the dead bodies, either for autopsies or for embalming or anything, this guy looks at me and he goes, "Zode, I'm not feeling this beat. I'm not feeling this beat. Dance, 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 dance." In my mind, I'm like, this guy is sick. This guy, of course, I couldn't tell him that because he was higher than me, but still, some of them are sick, some of them are just numb to death. But just a few of them actually. Some of us are still able to show empathy and sympathy. We have a different understanding of life and death, but we are not numb to it at all. Number four myth: anatomists only work in mortuaries. This one I find pretty much annoying because it's like the most common stereotype. Anytime you tell someone that you study human anatomy, they'll just assume that you work in a mortuary or they'll assume that you're always surrounded by dead bodies. And it's really, really annoying because as an anatomist, you can work as a researcher, you can work as a lecturer, you can work as a forensic scientist. You can work as an occupational therapist. Let me even give you one instance. During my service year, my compulsory service year, which is NYSC, I worked as a radiographer. Of course, why can't you? Because in 400 level first semester, you do imaging and you do a little bit of videography. So, of course, you can work as all these things. You're not just cursed to work in a mortuary. There's nothing wrong working in a mortuary, believe me, but like, it's not just in the mortuary that you have to work. The fifth and final myth: anatomists don't care about ethics. Now, this is simply untrue because you may not realize it, but we deeply do care about ethics. Like, we follow ethics. We just don't abuse these bodies because they are dead. No, we actually take care of them. Now, let me tell you something very shocking. Now, do you know that we're all told to name the bodies that we're to work with in the cadaver lab in school? Like, I think mine was James. I think it was James or something started with J. So you see, we're told to name these bodies, and of course, the fact that that person is there doesn't mean you shouldn't treat his body with respect. So we pretty much care about ethics. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read you all a poem and I'm going to react to it so that you see that we pretty much care about ethics. The poem is a very emotional poem actually, and is dedicated to the Department of Anatomy, and the name of the poem is Thus Spoke the Cadaver. I'm going to put it up here so that you all can see. Now I'm going to read. Handle me with little love and care, as I missed it in my life affair. Was too poor for cremation or burial. This is why I'm lying in the dissection hall. So basically, he's telling you to handle him with love and care because he missed it in his life. He was too poor for. Now, remember what I told you? It's either they were unclaimed or they were too poor for cremation or burial. So that's why he's here in the dissection hall. So yeah, he's telling us to handle him with love and care. Going on, you dissect me cut me, section me, but your learning anatomy should be precise. Worry not, you will not be taken to court, as I am happy to be with the bright lot. Anytime you are passing through the gross lab, you see a sign saying, be quiet, great minds are at work. Because what goes on in that dissection lab is not easy at all. Like, it's not for the faint of heart. Moving on. Couldn't dream of a fridge for cold water. Now my body parts are kept in the refrigerator. Young students sit around me with friends. A few dissect. Let's talk about food, families, and movies. How I enjoy this dissection periods. Don't you? Unless you are interrogated by a teacher. Okay, see what he said. Could not dream fridge for cold water. So basically, the bodies are kept in a cooling chamber so that they don't, decay. So he's telling you that he couldn't afford cold water when he was alive, but he's being kept in the refrigerator right now. And of course, he said about how students sit around him with friends. A few dissect, we that dissect, the rest observe and gist. So dissection is pretty much fun actually, because there's always that person that has some hot gist and everything. And of course, like, we hate dissecting with a lecturer, and of course the lecturers always wanted to be there, but there are sometimes that the lecturers left and allowed us to do our thing. Moving on. When my parts are buried post dissection, bones are taken out for the skeleton. Skeleton is the crown glory of the museum. Now I'm being looked up with great enthusiasm. If you want to know a good museum, look at the skeleton. I'm not talking about plastic skeletons. I'm talking about real bones. That's how you know if this lab or if this museum is good, or in my own opinion anyway. The parts that we don't need are buried, obviously, while the rest are put in the museum lab and mounted. So in the museum pot and mounted, while the bones are taken to be used for skeletons. So moving on, not as skeletons, as loose bones, in their bags and in their hotel rooms. At times, I am on their beds as well. Oh, what a promotion to heaven from hell. This thing is emotional, God, because everything he says is true. So apparently, in the museum labs, there are different bags with bones, because not every bone can be used as a skeleton, and you are actually allowed to take some of these bones to your hostel to study with. I had a skull in my hostel. I'm gonna upload, a picture of me with the skull. I had a skull in my hostel and everything. So it was like, um, sometimes it's on our bed, and of course we have these bones on our beds. What a promotion to heaven from hell. Okay, so moving on. I won't leave you, even if you pass anatomy. Would follow you into forensic medicine and pathology. Would be with you even in clinical teachings. Medicine line is one where the dead teach the living. This is facts, okay? And that's why I named this video Life of an Anatomist, where the dead teach the living, because that's what happens in medical field. And that's why it's kind of bizarre for you to think that we don't have ethics or we don't respect the dead. The dead teach us over here, so we really respect them. So it ends the final one humble request I'd make: be sympathetic to persons with disease. Don't panic. You'll have enough money, and I bet you'll be singularly happy. Oh God. So yeah, you have to show sympathy for people with diseases. They're still alive. You need to cherish people while you are here. And as it says in the second to the last line and the last line, don't panic. You have enough money, and I bet you'll be singularly happy. I'm happy for the fact that I studied anatomy. I don't like. I'm not. I don't know about you guys, but I am happy that I studied human anatomy. And yeah, I wish I could ask for more, but I'm not ready for twist. That's all she wrote. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two. I particularly love that poem, Thought Spoke the Cadaver, because I just can't help but feel for the dead. So that's why I love that poem. And reacting to it right now, it brought back memories of me in the dissection hall and everything. And yeah, I'm really grateful for the fact that I study human anatomy. I'm so grateful for the experience it gave me. Of course, grateful to the dead for teaching us. It's just amazing. So yeah, and that's all she wrote. So please, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. If you didn't like the video, like, share, subscribe. I'm still there and I'm out.